6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
All systems go.
You're listening to Sudbury News Talk.
I want to show you something.
Stand by.
On the morning shift.
Anything
Could happen.
Sudbury News Talk on the morning shift.
All right, welcome to Sudbury News Talk on the morning shift. I'm AJ Walsh, and I'm glad to be here with you this morning, and I'm glad that you are with us. We're live on CKLU 96.7 FM on the radio. We're also streaming at cklu.ca. You can stream us by going to cklu.ca and clicking on the Radio Player Canada app. You can then, if you want to take us with you on your favorite device, you can download the Radio Player Canada app and listen to us anywhere, anytime. That way. Yeah, we got a great show planned for you today. It's just getting it all ready. I apologize. We're a little bit late getting on, and that's because there is some troubleshooting as usual. There's usually troubleshooting taking place while we're getting the show ready. There's usually a different reason. Every single show, it never fails. There's always some kind of technical challenge. And I know there's those out there that would feel that the program should be like on par with a national broadcast news agency with several people working, the technical aspects and writing and doing the journalism and all that stuff. But I'm doing it all on my own pretty much. And as I'm doing this, a computer just went to sleep. So I'm waking it up, and you had to put the password in while you're speaking on the fly and all that stuff. So that's what I'm doing because I need to see that. And we're also, the reason why I'm doing this is because I need to see the Facebook comments, because we are live on facebook.com/Sudbury News each and every morning. Also live at youtube.com/Sudbury News. You can comment on both of those platforms. And because we have a specific switcher that brings in those comments from both of those platforms, I'm able to see them on the screen, and I can also read them for those on the radio. We do our best to read all the comments. And sometimes this conversation gets, there's a lot of people commenting, and it's really hard to keep it going or to keep reading all the comments. But that's a good thing, because that means a lot of people are in the conversation. And so with that, make sure to like, share, subscribe, follow all of the things that we do on our social media channels, which we are on YouTube, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, and LinkedIn. Some of them are, just a work in progress. Other ones we're putting more time and effort into. And so, make sure to get the word out. If you share this video, you think somebody else could be interested in the content that we cover, which is basically going from Sudbury News, sources that sometimes have more national or international flavor, or they're talking about issues that are more outside of the greater Sudbury area. We'll talk about those as well, but they do come through our local news channels, Sudbury Star, Sudbury.com, CTV, Northern Ontario, and CBC Sudbury. So all of the local journalism, which we support with all of our heart, might, mind, and strength, because we need to keep local journalism alive. And there is a story today about local journalism that we'll get to a little bit later. And so anyways, if you can do all those things and get the word out there by sharing, and again, don't share if you don't feel that you need to or want to or have to. You don't have to do that. I'm just sometimes we might forget to do that, and it's appreciated when you do. And with that, good morning, Monique. Thanks for joining us this morning. We are really grateful that you're with us. Hope you're having a great Thursday morning, as well as Judy. Hope you are as well. Good morning, Denise. Good morning, everyone. Shane, good morning with an exclamation point. That's right. Let's get the day off to a A good start. Dennis, good morning from London. We're from Sudbury originally and checking in from Sudbury. Good morning, everyone. And Belinda, good morning, everyone. Be yourself because everyone else is taken. Oh, thank you. I really appreciate that each and every morning. A nice positive statement gets me off on the right foot. Morning, Vin. Thanks for being with us as well. And as usual, David, stay safe. And I hope you are as well. And that you're all having a great beginning to your day. And we'll talk about today as I have to remember to keep my computer from going on sleep. I'll have to remember that or else it will. And I'll have to keep putting the code back in. That's a new problem today since I didn't have my mouse with me. So it is what it is. Technical issues and things to keep on top of, but we're going to have a good show nonetheless, and you wouldn't know any difference, I'm sure, on your end. So let's just get this conversation started. We'll start off with a little bit of weather. We'll dive in with some local stories and some more stories from abroad. Lots to talk about today, as usual, on this Thursday, June the 1st. It's a new month, and we'll dive right in with some weather. We'll be back right after this. Sudbury weather brought to you by sudburyweather.ca. It lands on our Sudbury.news Facebook page, Sudbury.news website. And currently it is 18 degrees Celsius, partly cloudy, and there is a heat warning. That's one of the stories that we shared on our Facebook feed. But we'll just get it here right from the horse's mouth. Environment Canada, there's a 2-day heat event beginning today. There's a heat event. George Carlin has a really great shtick on words and how words have evolved. You know, before it would have said a weather warning or now it's a weather event. Interesting. If you ever want to Google George Carlin, sometimes he uses some colorful language, but he's very insightful nonetheless. 2-day heat event beginning today. Maximum temperatures 28 to 30 degrees Celsius. Interesting that they're advising on a heat warning when we've already had temperatures over that for the last couple of days. But anyways, it is what it is. Minimum temperatures are 16 to 18 degrees. And that's for today and tomorrow. Daytime high temperatures are expected to be near 30 degrees Celsius today through Friday. Overnight temperatures are expected to be in the high teens, providing little relief from the heat. Cooler temperatures return on Saturday. The risks are greater for children, pregnant women, older adults, which we'll have a little bit of a story for you from Natalie Labby shared her press release. It is Seniors Month this month. And so older adults are susceptible as well. People with chronic illness and people working on or exercising outdoors. Drink plenty of water even before you feel thirsty and stay in a cool place. Never leave people or pets inside a parked vehicle. Yeah, a few tips from Environment Canada, never hurts. Just never leave your pets in your vehicle. And especially when it's really hot. And if you do, when you had to, make sure to leave the windows down, or at least enough so there's air coming in your vehicle, correct? Today, sunny this morning and early this afternoon, then a mix of sun and cloud. Here's the clincher with a 40% chance of showers this afternoon. And let's escalate this a little more with a risk of thunderstorm this afternoon. The wind will be moderate and high will be 31 with the humidex. It'll feel like 34 today, according to Environment Canada. The UV index is 8 or very high. Tonight, partly cloudy with a 40% chance of showers this evening, then clear. Risk of a thunderstorm this evening, low of 18. And then tomorrow, a mix of sun and cloud, 40% chance of showers in the afternoon again, and again, a risk of thunderstorm. So today looks like a ditto of tomorrow. High of 29, humidex 32 is forecast for tomorrow. And so there's your 40% chance of showers today and tomorrow, thunderstorm today and tomorrow this afternoon, and tomorrow afternoon. Sunny, though, on Saturday, high of 29, and the same for Sunday. 28 degrees and sunny, and then mix of sun and cloud, 27, 24, 25 for Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday of your next week. That's your weather, brought to you by sudburyweather.ca. And a little look at the last weather satellite image that we had. It was taken at 6:30 last night. So things have changed a little bit since then, and you can see a little bit of that, the weather activity, the green. If you're on the radio, just have some of the cloud activity coming in from the west that will probably receive some precipitation and thunderstorm activity more than likely this afternoon and tomorrow afternoon. That's your Sudbury weather, and we'll be back with some news headlines and all the latest in terms of what's going on locally and abroad, with all your comments as well. And let's have this conversation right after this. All right, welcome back to Sudbury News Talk, Sudbury News and Views, where we, as well as you, share our views on the news. And this is your show and your station where we have a community conversation. And we'll do our best to include everybody. Good morning, Jerome. Thanks for joining us. And good morning, Critical Thinking Sudbury. There's a little bit of a cerebral good morning there. And yes, we got to get our brain juices flowing. Maurice, good morning as well. Hope you're having a fantastic Thursday morning. And I must have said something. Okay. Some laughing there from Jerome. Josiah, I would think, or Gazia, I'm sorry if I can't pronounce your name correctly, but I hope, and I apologize for that. But I'm glad that you're here with us, and thank you so much. And I hope you're having a great morning. And thanks for commenting and saying good morning. The more, the merrier on this show today. We'll get right in with some of the headlines that we're going to be talking about. Yesterday, we had so much to talk about, but I guess we got sidetracked or derailed or got, kind of left fielded, if you're going to use a sports analogy. There you go. Yes, I try in the morning. And if you wanted to, put phonetically how to pronounce your name, then from now on, I swear I'll probably get it right. I don't know. I can't say for sure. But Danica, good morning with a heart emoji. Thank you for being with us this morning. And let's dive right in. There's lots to talk about. There is a new proposal for a lithium project west of the city. And this also reported from Sudbury.com. You can catch the whole story there. Let's see. So you got, they started with it probably right at the bottom. Yep. Sudbury Lithium Explorer proposes a processing plant west of the city. Sudbury-based Frontier Lithium is proposing to build a lithium hydroxide processing plant west of the city near Nairn Centre. Documents were posted on Ontario's Environmental Registry on May the 4th. The company is expected to reveal more details during a presentation on May the 31st, yesterday, at the BEV In-Depth Mine to Mobility Conference in Sudbury, taking place yesterday through today. If approved by regulators, it would be Ontario's first lithium conversion facility to supply the electric vehicle market. Frontier is asking the Ministry of Environment, Conservation and Parks for a compliance permit for air and noise. So environmentally, noise pollution, air pollution as well. They got to get the go-ahead for the permit there. And we'll have more about that conference coming up here as we're going through our stories of the day. Let's see. Yeah, this was not from Sudbury, but I thought it was interesting. Transport truck explodes driving through North Bay. And this happened early in the morning yesterday. Residents woke to the sound of an explosion at 3 a.m. And there's lots about that on the if you want to just read about the details. But the reason why I'm sharing it, and sorry, I guess I just have deal with my nose here this morning, is because I've always talked about the idea of you remember Lac Mégantic in Quebec, where they had the explosion, the rail car explosion, and did tons of damage and a lot of carnage from that. And I've often thought about the rail yard in downtown Sudbury, not only downtown, but there's a lot of populated areas where trains go through in the greater Sudbury region. But especially downtown, if you think about it, all the trains that we have going right through our downtown and then, parking down there. So here's an example of all the rail cars are basically the backs of transports on rail. So they're carrying who knows what through the city. So here in North Bay, transport truck explodes. Who's to say that very same thing happened to Lac Mégantic as well? And you look at recently down in Ohio and other train mishaps that have happened recently. Who's to say this couldn't happen in downtown Sudbury now if it was a severely toxic chemical, let's say, and some cars were compromised. Who's looking into this? We're so about safety and environment and all that these days, but it doesn't really look like there's the same, the same standards for everyone. You would think this is a huge safety concern and environmental concern, having all these rail cars in a metropolitan area like that. I don't know who's looking into it. Is anyone from the city? Anyone from the province? Any of the rail people looking into this? I don't know, right? When something happens, though, we're going to look back and say, could we have known about this? Should we have known? Were there enough red flags in other communities pointing to the fact that we might full well have looked into this, So are we going to wait for a disaster to happen until, and it's just that, but, I also have my own quirks with the rail going through our downtown. And that's just when you're in a hurry to go somewhere and then you hear the ding, 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 and the lights come on and you're like, give me a break. I was going to in Cape Real the other day to pick up some things for work, and I'm in Cape Real. It's 5,000 so people there, and yeah, the lights started and the sound and the arm came down, and I swear that was the longest train in history. It was 5 songs worth of a train, 5 full complete songs on the radio, and so whatever time that was. It seemed like an eternity. And that was Cape Real. I guess, it's not the most heavily trafficked area in the world, but the same trains go through downtown Sudbury. And so just that alone, the inconvenience is one thing, but the safety is, I guess, the one that you would really want to look at and wonder who's taking care of this. And when something happens, I've said it time and time again when I even have sports talk radio show, because I had to go into the studio at that time, and that was right beside the train tracks. That's where CKLU is, in the MacEwan School of Architecture, right? And so oftentimes I'd be coming in for the show, 100% volunteer. I'm driving in. I lived in Coppercliff at the time, and I'm just racing in, trying not to go too fast and get a ticket, but at the same time, I had a show to do, timing, and anyways, train, boom, very inconvenient. So anyways, so many accidents with derailments. Look at the catastrophe in Ohio. Exactly. So that again, I just want to say for the record, I've said it countless times on the show. I don't know. I'm not in the city. I'm not in Ontario government. I'm not federal government. I'm just someone with a microphone and a community radio station on a show, and hoping that the word gets out and someone was in an earshot. Good morning, Tracy. Thanks for being with us. Hope you're having a great morning this morning. And Danica says, it's terrible in Cape Real for the trains. I agree. Yes, those of us I lived in Cape Real for quite some time as well. And so I do know it's very frustrating. There's absolutely crazy amount of explosions, fires, train derailments just starting to happen in Canada lately. Not long ago in the US, had the same problems just happening. Makes one wonder for sure. I've often scratched my head as well about that. Glad you specified 5 radio songs because I'm a prog fan. So 5 songs is about 200 minutes. Yeah, it depends, right? If you're listening to some of those epic songs or not. No, they were just radio friendly 4-minute songs possibly. So it was like a 20-minute wait. That's a long time waiting for a train. Cartier has 3 sets of tracks side by side. Imagine that, a long train taking turns in both directions. Yeah. You ever get that? You're sitting at the train and then it slows down and stops and then goes backwards. Anyways, yeah, it's something you don't get in large cities like Toronto, per se, because they have a better system where they go underground and whatever, because they have higher traffic than us and, you know, more population and whatever. And so I think our city's too large to have trains going right through populated areas, though. I really do feel that. So whoever can or has the ability to make a change in that direction, I would definitely hope you're able to do something about that. I thought years ago a time limit was placed on trains trying to free up traffic. Yeah, I don't know. Jenny says, when you see a train with an engine partway through, you know that it's going to be a really long one. Yeah, that's true. So you got the engine at the beginning, partway through, sometimes even at the end, right? Pushing it along, not pulling it. Long trains, so that's a long rant just to say there was a story from North Bay of a truck exploding, a transport, and so hopefully we don't have that same thing happening here in Sudbury. Staffing challenges result in shorter hours at transit kiosk. Now this is terrible for services offered by Greater Sudbury. Like, you know, you're taking the bus and you need services at the kiosk, but shorter hours now at Transit Hub. And the city says it's due. City of Greater Sudbury is closing the downtown transit kiosk a few hours earlier, so they're on Tuesdays through Thursdays, due to an ongoing challenge in attracting enough part-time staff. You would think that wouldn't be a challenge for people wanting a part-time city job. Now maybe, just maybe, people wouldn't want to be downtown at a kiosk at the bus station with some of the history that's gone on there. I don't know. That could be partly due to that, but they're having a hard time attracting part-time staff for the kiosk. So shorter hours for the transit kiosk between Tuesdays and Thursdays downtown Sudbury. So also sticking with the downtown theme, they're holding a party to celebrate the start of the festival season. Again, I don't know how many other towns have as many festivals as we do, but I really do feel we got kind of a lot of festivals here in Sudbury. And a lot of people say, well, there's nothing to do in Sudbury and whatever, but we got a lot of festivals. And that was my idea way back to have Fest. So a festival of festivals, and you just invite all the festivals to your festival, and they all have their kiosks, and they all have they're promoting their festivals. So it's a festival of festivals. And, the Festival Boreal would have, a busker, whatever, playing. The Garlic Festival will be there with their garlicky things, and the blueberry for their things, and onward and so forth. Some ribs from the Rib Fest. Everyone would have a little sample of their festivals going on. And so maybe someone from downtown Sudbury caught wind of this, and this is that version. I have no idea. But there are several popular downtown festivals over the course of the summer. So downtown Sudbury BIA is staging a preview June the 2nd of all the fun to come. So they're going to do the same thing as my idea for Fest, but just for the downtown related festivals. But great idea nonetheless. June 2nd, that I believe is today is June 1st. So that would make it Friday. So check out more details about that on Sudbury.com. And if you want to just make it easy, go to Sudbury News' Facebook page. Story's right there. You click on it, goes right to Sudbury.com's story on that. Also sticking with Sudbury.com, and speaking of traffic being slow, due to trains. In this case, it's due to construction. Expect slow traffic on the Kingsway Thursday and Friday. There's a water main work at the intersection of the Kingsway and Silver Hill Drives. It will reduce traffic to one lane, in each direction from 6 a.m. Thursday through 12 p.m. Friday. My heart goes out to anyone who's traveling through that area in those times. You're going to be definitely delayed. So make sure to plan for extra time for whatever you're planning on doing, wherever you're going. You'll need it. And speaking of the conference that's going on yesterday and today, Sudbury Conference on BEVs draws hundreds of delegates. Let's see, I believe Sudbury.com for their stories to start your day talks about this here. So there you go. The second annual BEV in-depth conference kicked off yesterday with hundreds of delegates from across Ontario joining the effort on how to continue bringing battery electric vehicles into the mainstream for mining and general automotive purposes. Greater Sudbury is working to find ways to improve the city's role in developing local industries, not only to serve the automotive battery electric market, but also to promote and enhance the role of the mining industry for the large industrial BEV market as well. The event is being held at Cambrian College. It includes public areas where battery electric automobiles and mining equipment are on display. Yesterday and today, this marks the second year of the conference, which debuted last spring, attracting delegates from across sectors, including government, mining, automotive, battery development, to discuss battery electric vehicles and their future in Sudbury, Ontario, Canada, world. And other Northern Ontario mining jurisdictions is positioning itself as a source of raw materials, critical minerals like nickel, palladium, lithium, and others, to make the components needed to manufacture batteries that will keep the vehicles running. Yes. This is something that we're going to be seeing in our world no matter what. We've made the decision. Batteries and electricity are our future. We're leaving behind all other sources of energy. And so Sudbury will benefit from this to some extent. How much we will benefit from it is yet to be determined, but you can see here there's works in progress. Why Sudbury won't do road work at night? Everyone down south does. Yeah, for sure. I've asked that question many times, and I don't know. I'm just speculating, and it has something to do with union things. But again, that's all just speculation, of course. So Tracy says, I just looked that up, and trains cannot tie up traffic for more than 5 minutes if stopped. I can't see any time limits for moving trains, though. My opinion is that 20 plus minutes is a bit long. Yes. Southwestern Ontario does not do road construction at night for safety reasons. Maybe that's part of it here. I have no idea. I don't know I think with those huge lights and stuff, it's almost as bright as the sun as far as I can see whenever I've seen construction, at night. They got some pretty darn bright lights. But maybe there are other safety issues. Judy says there's a phone number in Capriol paper to call if the train is taking too long. Really? That's interesting. So there's a phone number you call, and I don't know what happens. Does a man kind of run out and move the train faster or take it off the rails? That's interesting. I guess it would just pile up the complaints or log the complaints if you call in, right? Dave says there's a major convention on BEV in town with the Kingsway Bridge work and trains, just no way to move around town. Certainly not going to attract new businesses to town. Yeah, that's interesting, right? So you figure all these people are here we're promoting Sudbury as this place to do business. And then the people in the conference are having a hard time even getting to the conference with all of the construction and whatever. But I'm sure. Yeah, imagine they're waiting for a train for 20 minutes, waiting to get to the conference, right? And imagine that a train even blows up while they're here in a huge showing that we can't even think of safety in an industrial town when really that should be our niche, right? Wait a minute, industrial things. How do we keep people safe? We should be, on the ball with things like that. But it's. I think we got some work to do. I think this is the town for this type of thing. I think we have the resources. I think we do have infrastructure. We need the minds, not the minds down below. We need the minds in our head in order to move things forward in a better manner, one that's more conducive to global business and business in general. We're a very hard town to do business in, as you can see if you've lived here. And keeping up with this, Canadian News Industry Summit. Speaking of summits and industry summits, Canadian news industry had one, and it sees the crisis that it faces but it's facing it with optimism. So I read this entire story from Stephen's suggestion yesterday that I should read all stories all the time, but I don't have the time to do that. So I did take the time to read this one. Speaking of Stephen, he's chiming in here. They did lots of night construction on Elm between Paris and Durham for months last summer. There you go. So that's good. So maybe we should do more of that and help the traffic move along during the day to keep the economy running. The news industry was put on by the owners of the Sudbury Star parent company, and they see that, advertisers are kind of going away from legacy media, and things have changed. It's all about social media now, and everything's digital, and so they're trying to move along with that and figure out ways that they can monetize. And unfortunately, one of the main ways to monetize media these days, including local journalism, which is unfortunate, is government handout money. So unfortunately, just getting advertisers these days to pay and having a whole media organization that's just totally self-funded on its own is going the way of the dodo, and local journalism is being funded by federal dollars. It's unfortunate, because that means then you can't be 100% totally hands-free from being a critic. And when that's the case, when the media cannot be a critic of those that are in power, you've just lost a huge part of democracy, or the democracy that we would want to have here in our country, right? So it's unfortunate, but anyways, they had a summit about that and looking at alternatives, and not alternatives to government funding, by the way. That's just a kind of like, hey, if we can take it, we'll take it, right? So it usually comes with strings attached, unfortunately. So Belinda's saying, should be regularly scheduled drills on train derailments. Yeah, for sure. I don't know if they do this or not. Yeah, you would think that would be the case. I have to admit, as much as I love social media, I do miss a good newspaper at times. Vin, myself as well. So I did have the newspaper coming to my home all the way up until like a few months ago, when my wife kind of won the argument or whatever of why was I still getting the newspaper when really I wasn't using it for any reason. I was just using all of the digital media on the show and other things. And so I said, well, I'm just supporting local media, She says, don't you do enough supporting local media from your show and doing what you do, kind of thing? And anyway, she won that argument. It was part of our family budget, which she did have a say in. PM dismisses calls to remove David Johnson. It's funny because half the time from media outlets, you hear his name pronounced David Johnston, and half the time it's David Johnson. And I'm always listening intently to hear how they're pronouncing his name, just so I can continue to say either Johnson or Johnston. Anyways, I guess it's tomato, because I hear it being pronounced both ways all the time. But yeah, so Prime Minister Justin Trudeau is saying he's not going to back down. And there was a vote even recently. If I have the Epic Times story here on that. Special Rapporteur David Johnson's intent to hold public hearings with the diaspora on the issue of foreign interference shows a lack of understanding of the targeted communities, a China expert told a House of Commons committee yesterday. He's not got a deep China experience or a deep security experience to bring to it. He looked at it for 2 months, and in that 2 months, he concluded that there should be public hearings, and said Margaret McQuaig Johnson said that. That's who said that. Okay. And I did listen to this article this morning, but still, this is kind of discombobulated a bit. I think it's just on pronouncing different names and things on the fly. So he doesn't understand. The dysphoria would never want that. And so that suggests he doesn't have the understanding of what's happening, the dynamic that's happening in the communities out there of Chinese Canadians. So they have Chinese Canadians speaking to House of Commons committees. So she's a China expert and a senior fellow at the Graduate School of Public and International Affairs of the University of Ottawa, was testifying before House of Commons Standing Committee on Procedure and House Affairs. The committee has been studying foreign interference since November and has recently been given the mandate by the House to investigate the targeting of MPs by Chinese regimes or the Chinese regime. In dismissing the need or feasibility of holding a public inquiry over security concerns, Johnson's report says it would instead hold public hearings with Canadians, especially from diaspora communities, on how the government can improve its fight against foreign interference. So the Uyghurs, the Tibetans, the Falun Gong, pro-democracy, Hong Kongers, and human rights activists would be more targeted if they spoke in public hearings, she said. She added, those groups' views are already well known, and they have long called for stronger investigative powers against the threat and the need for a foreign agent registry without success. So we do not have a foreign agent registry in Canada. That's interesting. The federal government launched consultations on establishing a registry in recent weeks after mounting pressure due to multiple national security leaks in the press depicting widespread interference by Beijing. It goes on anyways that Justin Trudeau is in no way, shape, or form going to back down from this. Opposition parties in the House of Commons unanimously voted in favor of an NDP motion yesterday calling for Johnson to step down from his role as, special rapporteur or just rapporteur, with the motion being adopted with a majority in the House of Commons. The motion is non-binding, but it signals to the Liberal government and Johnson that a majority of elected representatives do not support going forward with the current arrangement. The government ignored a previous motion calling for holding a public inquiry on foreign interference. Instead, appointed Johnson as rapporteur. We're all too familiar with this already here in Sudbury and as Canadians, what's going on here. And let's see, a couple comments coming in, a lot of comments. So I don't know, maybe we're at that point where I'm not able to get to all of them. Miners work 24/7 on unmanageable darkness. What's up with the surface workers? Exactly. Okay. The problem with construction in this town is that there's the same every year for years. And the solution is simply to stop giving contracts to one company, which is Interpaving. Yeah, I do notice that Interpaving gets a lot of the contracts as well. Bring in different contractors that would do better job and probably would cost much less. War is when the government tells you who the bad guy is. Revolution is thinking when you decide for yourself. Well, interesting. That's an interesting concept and true. Agreed, Monique? So if it were public, would 90% of the redacted? Oh, it'd be 90% redacted anyhow. Yeah, and that's true. Even non-confidential information is withheld, like the EA inquiry, Emergencies Act inquiry. Wonder how much American interference is in Canadian politics? Probably lots. Just have to watch all the commercials on television. You don't even need interference. The culture influences us already as it is, and we're intertwined business-wise and stuff like that, for sure. And require a time-sensitive guarantee for both work being done and length of life on the road. Oh, that's for the road construction for sure. And all right, we're just saying hi to each other on here, which is awesome. Keep it coming. Agreed. Trudeau jumped on the Emergencies Act as soon as Biden demanded the borders open. So that's the American interference. Yes, for sure. A lot of American interference there for sure. Definitely. Okay, so got an interesting sparring. I love the sparring between Poilievre and Trudeau, just without giving any bias. You just listen to what they say about what's going on, right? Because you want to hear what the leaders are talking about concerning this particular topic. And after they're done with their little back and forth, we'll be back right after this.
General.
It's really an all-in act with this guy. What he wants, what he says is, there's nothing to see here, so why don't you come into a dark room and see it, and then we'll commit you to an oath of secrecy so you can walk out and tell Canadians that you can't tell them anything at all. That's effectively what he's saying. We don't need more people to keep secrets. We need more people telling the truth. Why won't he launch a public inquiry to do that?
The Right Honourable Prime Minister.
Current leader of the opposition was Minister of Elections. Perhaps that is his approach, why he didn't do anything to fight foreign interference. That was ongoing in our elections and has been for decades. Mr. Speaker, he chose to cover his ears and not listen to intelligence officials. And now he is not letting the facts get in the way of base partisan attacks. He is choosing to not get briefed up on the actual facts of the matter so that he can continue to attack our democracy, to attack other political parties, to attack esteemed individuals like our former Governor General.
The Honourable Leader of the Opposition.
Canadians need the facts. Everyday Canadians. They don't need to have just a Prime Minister keeping secrets and then have that same Prime Minister force other people to keep his secrets as well, Mr. Speaker. You know, this Prime Minister said he admires the basic Chinese communist dictatorship. When will he realize that we live in Canada and you can't silence your critics?
The Right Honourable Prime Minister.
Mr. Speaker, the Leader of the Opposition is entitled to his opinions. He's just not entitled to his facts. That's why the intelligence community has offered, and we actually directed the intelligence community to give him the clearance necessary so that he can find out all the facts, all the information necessary, and he is choosing to hide behind a veil of ignorance so that he doesn't have to allow the facts to get in the way of a good political argument or personal attack, either on me or on a former Governor General or on anyone who seems to stand in his way.
Here, here.
Before we go to the next question, there's a lot of chattering going on, and I want to make sure that everyone gets to hear the questions and the answers. So I'm going to ask everyone, once again, take a deep breath and let's listen to both sides. The Honourable Leader of the Opposition.
He wants facts. Well, here's a fact. He would have me commit to following Section 12.1 of the National Security and Intelligence Committee Act, which would not only strip away my ability to speak about this matter, but would ban me from doing it right here on the floor of the House of Commons. That is a fact. The real question is, what is he so determined to hide? We know Beijing helped him in 2 elections. We know Beijing gave donations to his Trudeau Foundation. Is that why he's so determined to silence his critics and keep these secrets?
The Right Honourable Prime Minister.
Speaker, I know it's difficult for some people to remember, but the honourable member was at one point a Minister of the Crown and thereby subject to oaths of secrecy and cabinet confidences, and was able to handle secrets just fine at that point, including when he was Minister for Elections. At the same time, Mr. Speaker, he is choosing now to turn his back on the facts because the facts would be inconvenient to the political argument he's trying to make right now. If that member was serious about this serious issue, he would allow the intelligence agencies to give him the necessary brief.
Honourable Leader of the Opposition.
This Prime Minister is saying that nothing has been hidden. And yet, actually, come look at everything that's been hidden. And then you can go to the media and tell them, actually, I can't say anything. That's...
Okay, so, we'll just want to play enough of it or whatever. And so that was a back and forth between the official leader of the opposition, Pierre Poilievre, Conservative, and our Prime Minister, the leader of the Liberal Party. Now, Dave making comments, so you're thinking that suddenly you have no bias. Odd. I don't understand what your comment means. Interesting that PP is not interested learning the facts because it's very confusing. Okay. So it sounds like you are biased yourself toward being liberal. Sounds like that. I have done nothing, said nothing to be biased in any way. All I'm doing is playing the back and forth between them. I had said nothing. So there's no bias here. But it probably does sound like bias because one of them is a better speaker and orator than the other. So just by playing it, you can just tell one is better at putting the other one in their place in a debate. And it's usually easier when you're on the opposition, by the way. And that's an unbiased statement by myself. When you're on the opposition, it's easier to be critical, right? So, yeah, exactly. No, I'm not falling for any baiting. It doesn't even exist. Yeah. So, why Major Truth? Oh, yeah. Well, Major Truth Proms, they both swore secrecy to the Crown. Yeah, I picked up on that as well. You know, he swore secrecy and took an oath of secrecy, right? So that's interesting. Parliament circus, totally disgusting. That's right. So I don't know if anyone else got that I was being biased in any way just by playing a spar between the Prime Minister and the official leader of the opposition, but that in no way is being biased. However, there is someone that I had a video from that could be said that there's bias. His name is Joe Resinello. I just found him the other day, but he has a little thing while they're talking about. So the whole thing is that Justin Trudeau wants him to be briefed on some of the stuff that he's being accused of with Chinese interference. But once he does, he has to. He can't say anything about anything anymore. And so he's the leader of the opposition. So he feels he would be compromised, or at least this is what he's saying publicly. He would be compromised in actually holding the Prime Minister accountable because he wouldn't be able to talk about it anymore. And that's the reason. That's his argument anyways. And just if no one was able to get that from that. But listen, this is an individual who is biased, and I think he has no bones about it. But there's another point he was making. We'll be back right after this.
Now with the front line with Joe and Joe. Once again, let us go into the breach. Poilievre lobs a nuclear bomb at Trudeau in the House. He questions why the young Justin left his teaching position. Play the clip.
Yes, Mr. Speaker, I was a high school teacher before getting into politics, and I'm having a little trouble remembering what exactly the job that the Leader of the Opposition had before getting into politics.
Yes, and he left right in the middle of the semester, and I'm having trouble remembering why. Now, Mr. Speaker. But he certainly wasn't a math math teacher. He certainly was not a math teacher. His own finance minister says the deficits pour fuel on the inflationary fire, right before she introduced $60 billion more deficit spending measures. How much will that add to the inflation rate Canadians have to pay? How much?
The Right Honourable Prime Minister.
Couple comments. You know, it is a common thread, sadly, with a lot of politicians that they really have no qualifications for the role that they're in. I'm not saying that that's the case for Poilievre. Frankly, I'm not even pointing the finger at Trudeau. Many people do say he had no qualifications. But I will say this, and let's be honest, he has been successful in destroying Canada and putting his agenda forward. He has, like it or not. You got to call it like it is. Trudeau has been successful. He hasn't helped you, but he has been successful. What I mean by that is he's a good liar. He's a good gaslighter. He projects well. He gets it. But as far as qualifications for politicians, that's what the two of these men are basically sparring about. What did you do before you were a politician? What did you do before you were a politician? That is why, to be honest with you, career politicians are useless. I'll tell you the type of person that should be a politician. It's someone who's achieved something, most likely in the private sector. You've accomplished something and you've acquired a skill set whereby you're going to serve the people who vote for you. But that's not how it works. How it works is this. You serve the special interests. And in the case of Justin Trudeau, he serves the globalists. Guess who gets left out? The people. That is why career politicians are useless.
Hey Canada, show the...
Yeah, so right there, he's not saying anything like to one side or another. He's saying to politicians in general. And I think you really do need to hold all politicians to the same account in that spar going back between Justin and Pierre. Really, they're just kind of like calling, just name calling or whatever. But something interesting, though, that he said is that he had to leave halfway through the semester. And I don't know anything about that. I don't know why he left halfway through the semester. So whatever he was accusing me of, obviously all those other politicians knew. I honestly don't know. And so maybe I'll look into that. And I know Pierre Poilievre has been a career politician, never really had another job other than that, which, again, you have to question. You want someone with experience, like he was saying. He makes a good case there for sure. And that's why I just let it play after the clip. So anyways, I appreciate your time being with us today. Get a couple of your comments just up on the screen as we're closing out. I hope you have a great Thursday, even though there's going to be possible thunderstorm coming up tomorrow as well. We'll see you same time, same place, God willing, tomorrow. Make sure to share and take care. We'll see you tomorrow. Stay tuned now for Earshot Daily on CKLU 96.7 FM. Ciao, everyone.
This is Sudbury News Talk on the morning shift.